This is the only sweatshop you'll ever need. I've designed this sweatshop to be able to carry you through the early game as fast as possible. We're going to make use of this space by both farming experience, literally, and also producing a massive buff so that we can speed up our movement throughout Highland Point. This is the build that I would be starting every one of my saves with. So without further ado, let's get straight into this build. We're going to start off here by hiring one botanist, and we can go ahead and take a look at our supplies. So we have 2 large storage racks, 3 small storage racks, 1 medium storage rack, 1 locker, 2 mixers, and 8 moisture pot setups. You'll also need a bed and whichever packaging station is available to you at the time. Let's go ahead and start off by throwing our bed in this corner here with the locker placed right behind the backboard. I'm going to put a brick press next to the sink and a packaging station opposite to it. Then I'll be placing 2 small storage racks next to either one. And right here, I'll slot 1 medium storage rack in between the sink and the large. Over by the door, we're going to place a small storage rack as close as we can. And then on the opposite side of the room, 2 tiles away from the wall, we'll put our 2 mixers, followed by our second large storage rack on the end. We'll then take our 8 moisture pot setups and put them in this section that we previously zoned off. This way we can keep our botanist in one area and make sure that everything is still walkable for him. Go ahead and throw your suspension racks and lights on and we're good to go. Now this build is walkable for us as well as the botanist, and that was my main goal with this layout. I do want to say you don't need the brick press and the packager. I just put them there so you could see how they would both fit. But depending on the stage of the game you're at, you might want to put just one packager and more shelves, totally up to you. Now we can go ahead and get our botanist assigned and fill up all of these shelves. As you can see, I brought a ton of Red Bull, paracetamol, base soil, weed seeds, as well as some jars over by the packaging station so that we can prepare. Now I'll grab my botanist's clipboard and assign him to his locker and his pots, but here's where this build gets kind of different than others. As you can see, all of our storage racks are full. We're going to assign him to all 8 of these pots, and we're not going to assign the pots any destination. The reason for this is we want our botanist to just grow these plants for us while we're away from the sweatshop doing all of our sales for the day. That way we can return periodically and harvest them ourselves. Now that I've paid the botanist, I'll go ahead and let him do his thing, and I'll show you why this build is good and explain exactly what's going on here. Now, let me ask you this. What's the most annoying part of the early game in Schedule 1? That's right. It's taking care of all these plants. Dumping soil, planting seeds, keeping them watered. All of this stuff takes tons of time when you need to do it yourself, and it'll slow down your progress significantly. So why do we want to skip all of that but still do the harvesting ourselves each day? Well, it's simple. As you may know, we gain experience in this game each time that we ourselves make a sale or when our dealers do, as well as escaping various wanted levels from the police. But we also gain a small amount of experience every time that we cut down a plant. Now, this isn't a huge amount of experience, it's only 5 per plant. I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually adds up to a massive difference in the early game. Each time that we return to the sweatshop and harvest 8 plants, that's going to get us an extra 40 experience for doing so. This will level us up even faster while saving us time by allowing the botanist to do all of the annoying work for us. In the early game, when we don't need a ton of experience per level, and we have access to only 1 or 2 of the groups of customers, this makes a huge difference in overall pace of scaling our operation. So we get all of these benefits, and all that we need to do is stop by and do a harvest a few times each day. Then we can quickly package our product into jars or bricks, since these stations are quite fast for the player to operate. And of course, we can take a look at our mixing area as well. This is the second critical part of this sweatshop. We can use this for multiple purposes, meaning you may want to use them sometimes to make a specific mix for unlocking a future customer even faster. But as a baseline example here, I'm using it to make the strongest buff in the game. By using this Granddaddy Purple combo with red balls and paracetamol, we can get ourselves a buff which will provide athletic, anti-gravity, and sneaky, which will make the early game fly by just as fast as you can go flying around Highland Point. In my opinion, this is a much better method of speeding up movement without having to spend $1,500 on the golden skateboard. It allows you to keep control of your player better than when you're on the skateboard, and it also means that you can get anywhere on the map extremely quick. By jumping over buildings and skipping the streets altogether, we can save ourselves even more time each day while quickly finding our customers and making our sales. Plus, this mix is very addictive and sells for a decent price in the early game if you also want to just add it to your product list. You won't need to consume that much each day to have your buff on 100% uptime while you're moving around. You can produce plenty for yourself to use and sell the extra. And now I'll get on with the overall build review. This sweatshop can produce enough product to supply the first 2 zones of customers in the early game, even if you're only using grow tents, as well as allow you to harvest 80 to 120 extra experience each day, level up faster, and reach new zones as well as other unlocks. Combining that with the fact that we can also make our own buffs here to zoom around Highland Point, we can easily flow from the early game into the mid game by achieving property and business purchasing breakpoints faster and with less waste of money as well as time. That being said, once you get to a point in your playthrough where you feel all of your time is being spent on deals and you've already automated the bungalow and maybe even a second property, you might decide to either rebuild this for another purpose or still stop by and harvest your experience each day if you like. It's essentially an extra 4 to 6 deals worth of experience each day. In the long run, this adds up quite a lot, and it can make a pretty big difference in your leveling speed if you want to put in the effort. But even if you don't want to put in the effort, this is also going to be good for you, because you can simply schedule your deals for nighttime and then AFK in the sweatshop while you periodically run your mixers and harvest your plants. So this build provides flexibility for people who want a more active playstyle or who want a more chill vibe. So make sure you prepare yourself for the cartel update with this multi-purpose sweatshop, so you can unlock your pistol early game. I don't want you to get caught lacking in these streets. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.